KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning. It's the Workers Beat, 972-647-1893. I'm Gene Lantz and
Bonnie Mathias, 972-647-1893.
we both have the same phone number.
I know, that's amazing.
Today is at 2 o'clock, Women's History and the Labor Movement, featuring Speaker Cooper Caraway, who's been on this program, hosted by the Women's Alliance for Leadership at the Resource Center in Dallas, 2701 Reagan Street. That's at 2 o'clock. Today, again, isn't there another one today?
I don't know.
On June the 11th at 5:30, Our Community, Our Schools has another meeting at Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center. They're doing these in different parts of town, so that everybody can get up and have their say-so about privatization of the Dallas Independent Schools District. So this is at Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center, 5:30 on June the 11th, and that's at 5150 Mark Trail Way. Don't forget that Juneteenth is coming up. Just mark it on your calendars. Also on June the 11th at 6:30 p.m., the Anti-ALEC Planning Meeting.
Yay.
ALEC is the American Legislative Exchange Council, and you're not going to like it once you find out what it is. That will be at 1408 North Washington in Dallas at 6:30. Then at the same place on June the 12th at 6:30 p.m. is a concert. Starts with a quick lesson on ALEC, just so everybody knows what it is, and then at 7:30 begins the concert with Ann Feeney and Brad Yoder in concert, and they're going to do a tribute to Pete Seeger.
I'm very excited. You know, I really didn't know who she was,
She sung at your Union Hall.
I know. I don't think I was there. But
and she sung at a lot of other Union Halls around here too.
I will be there Thursday night for sure. I'm very excited. That's going to be fun.
Ann Feeney is an institution in labor union music. Now, if you want to know anything about all of this stuff, contact jharris866 at AOL.com. jharris866 at AOL.com. And you can also call Rosemary Rieger, but I didn't get her telephone number on here. That's Job with Justice is involved in all of that stuff. The AFL-CIO has announced a boycott of Staples, and that's because of the American Postal Workers Union. What Staples is doing is dressing up some of their low-paid employees to make them look like postal employees. And what they're going to do is take away the postal employees' jobs. And you can believe me, brothers and sisters, you heard it first on the Workers Beat on KNON, they are going to close more post offices. This is just a maneuver to get some more people's jobs away, and they're going to close more post offices, and we are going to be stuck without post offices, without post office services. So you can count on it, and you heard it here first. The Walmart strikers were kicking butt and taking names all during last week.
All over the country.
Yeah, all over the country. They had a rally in Arlington, another rally in Fort Worth. They all went to Bentonville, Arkansas for the Walmart stockholders meeting. And some of them in Arizona went out to the house of Walmart chairman Rob Walton. They went to his estate and raised a little heck out there. Meantime, they have put another, I have got a second, this is quite a distinction, I want to brag a minute. I have got a second restraining order against me from the Walmart attorneys.
You didn't do anything.
I know I didn't do a thing. And but the second restraining order says I still cannot go on Walmart property. And not only that, but I have to post up the notice that says I can't go on Walmart property, and I had to post that up on my website, labordallas.org. So if you're wondering what that
that's a badge of distinction, I would think. I don't know.
If you're wondering what all that legal stuff is on my website and my Facebook page, it's that they made me do it. But
I swear, you are such a lawbreaker.
Well, I haven't
you.
gone to jail like you did. So.
I didn't go to jail.
Okay, well, like
I
a
was
bunch
there.
did.
I
like
was
Mark
there
York
with
did.
the ones that went to jail.
I was outside cheering them on.
That's right. Go.
Well, anyway, the Walmart people are apparently upset because some people don't like what they do to their employees, and apparently they think they can intimidate us by sicking a bunch of lawyers on us. But
Doesn't seem to be working real well, does it?
hasn't hurt me any. I just posted the stuff up though. Okay, and today we have a very important guest. Bonnie and I have been telling you that there are major changes going on in the labor movement, tremendous changes going on in the AFL-CIO. One of those changes is that they've hired a mobilization coordinator, and they hired Pamela Racing-Dees. And Pamela Racing-Dees is here. Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
What is a mobilization coordinator?
So the mobilization coordinator's role is basically to be able to establish a relationship with the affiliates, be able to talk to them, be able to share with them as to what's going on.
The affiliates are all the unions that are affiliated with the AFL-CIO.
Correct.
Okay.
And be able to share with them as to what's happening not only in our political aspect of our program, but as well as our community program, which you just listed a bunch of the events that we also want to make sure our members are being a part of as they are part of this community.
Have you gone to any of these mobilizations lately? What's happened lately?
So the last event that we had was going to be of the labor walk that we had before the runoff for Susan Motley, and we had about, I would say, 20 of our brothers and sisters that showed up on Saturday. Some of them actually showed up after their third shift.
That was a get out the vote effort.
Wow.
Yes, that was our
Was it successful?
I would say so. We knocked on about, I would say, 400 doors during the month of May to mobilize the vote for Susan Motley. This is doing member-to-member outreach to our brothers and sisters who have shown density to vote before, are likely to go and vote, but sometimes whether because of what's going on in their lives, aren't reminded often that the runoff election was going to be the day after Memorial Day.
You just went to union members themselves. You went to members of affiliated unions.
And it worked.
Yeah, I mean, she won.
Handily.
Yes, she did. And we're going to continue this effort. It's not only in House District 105, but also in House District 107. As we feel that these are the political efforts that our membership has vocalized that they support these candidates.
And these are key electoral areas.
That is correct.
So we'll mobilize for elections. Will we mobilize for boycotts and things like that? Will we be out there for the postal workers?
Yeah, just as you mentioned, we also had a lot of community and member support at the Walmart strike. And as well as we're going to continue to support our brothers and sisters in the U.S. Postal Service.
This is new. Of course, you haven't been involved in the labor movement here over the last 30 years or so, but it's fairly new for the unions to be making this much emphasis on community participation.
I think so, but I also want to backtrack and acknowledge that all of the members that are part of our affiliates, all of our union members are part of the community. I feel like there's been a divorce of union and community, and that should not happen considering that these folks are the folks that are going to the PTA meetings, are teaching their little kids softball game, are part of the church community. So I think it's just remarrying those two attributes and making sure that people understand that people that are in the community are part of the union.
And people in unions haven't really tried to get other community people. They didn't think of it.
Right.
It just hasn't been the way things were done over the last 50 or 60 years. Reverend York Rieger has been on this program, for example, and he said several times that union members, even though they're having all kinds of trouble, or they may be having all kinds of trouble in their local, they don't even ask their preachers for help. They don't even ask their preachers to make an announcement, that there'll be a rally or something like that. And he said it's because of the culture. We've just developed a culture of alienation where people feel that they don't have the right to ask somebody else for help. And that's what's breaking down now. That's why it's so exciting that the AFL-CIO has hired a mobilization coordinator. What kind of things did you do in your background that brought you to this?
So I started organizing, I would say, when I was 17. I started organizing around the DREAM Act and immigration reform. I'm DACA-minted. I come from an immigrant background. And for folks that don't know, DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And that's what allows people that are DREAM Act eligible to be able to work now for a 2-year period.
That succeeded, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so now
You're a dreamer, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome.
And now it's the DACA renewal is coming out, so affiliate with your local DREAM group to find out more information if you want to be involved.
Well, how do they do that? If some young person here was born in Mexico, but lived here most of their life, went to school here, they're dreamers, right?
Yes, they
and
are.
And how do
eligible.
they get in touch with? How do they become a part of the dreamer movement?
So there is a national network called United We Dream, but there's also a local network called the North Texas Dream Team, and they do a lot of efforts in partnership with a lot of different community allies in order to allow folks to make sure that they have an opportunity to know what DACA is, how they're eligible for DACA if they're eligible, and how to apply for it or renew their DACA application.
And it's only been in the last, say, 20 years, 19 years, 18 years, that labor has been part of the support that the Dreamers have.
Yeah, actually, AFL-CIO has been a key ally for the immigrant right movement. They recently had their action in D.C. where they blasted stop deportations across their building, and as you know, the AFL-CIO building is directly across the White House. So the AFL-CIO has completely been an ally to immigrant students and workers. So that's where I started my background organizing for that. But shortly afterwards, I started sort of seeing a disconnect between Dreamers and their perspective on the labor movement.
Oh, really?
I felt that they viewed themselves as students and not workers.
And saw themselves as separate and alienated, as I was just saying.
And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, you may be a student, but you also are a worker, and your parents are workers, and the workers' right movement does matter. And that's when I started doing a lot of work with local organizations in San Antonio, which is where I went to school, and Austin, to advocate for against wage theft, to advocate for workers' rights. And that's really when I started getting involved in the labor movement. I came out just out of Working America. That was where I came from before I moved to Dallas again.
You're going to have to explain what Working America is, because most people don't know.
So Working America is a community affiliate of the AFL-CIO. And what they do is that they are in specific areas, and they focus specifically on certain issues that aren't necessarily with a union population.
But anybody can join Working America.
Exactly.
Anywhere in the United States, anybody, if you've got a computer and can get online, or if you can go to the library and get online, you can join Working America. It's supposed to be $5 a year, but actually, first time I joined, I didn't pay the $5, and they said, welcome to Working America.
Yeah, it's a suggested donation membership, but they definitely welcome anyone who's willing to take that step and get involved, whether it is in their community politically or in any kind of setting. So that's my background in terms of organizing. Been doing a little bit of labor and a little bit of immigration, of course.
And bringing the two together.
Yes.
I was just at the AFL-CIO convention during the whole past week, and they passed a really wonderful resolution on immigration. Totally for it. And there was I think one person spoke against it in the whole convention of 1,000 delegates, and he didn't actually say he was against it. He just said he knew people that might be against it.
Yeah, and I feel like
What?
Well, it passed unanimously.
I'm not against it, but I'm speaking up for people who might be against it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, go back to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
They had the same thing with the diversity resolution, which, of course, includes LGBT community now, which is something that the labor movement wouldn't go within 100 miles of 20 years ago.
Right.
But now they're passing resolutions in favor of the rights for LGBT brothers and sisters. And this one passed, but there's one guy got up and said, well, I know certain preachers in the South that would not like this. And
they're probably not part of the AFL-CIO anyway.
well, they're not. Of course, we want preachers to be on our side.
Well, of course we do, but you know, if you're going to be not inclusive of everyone, then you're probably not the kind of preacher we wanted to be.
Well, the point is there was only
anyway.
the point is there was only one very weak protest against the resolution, and it passed unanimously. Both of them did unanimously. It's a new labor movement, brothers and sisters, and you can be part of it. Call us at 972-647-1893. You can be part of it by joining Working America. If you're a dreamer, if you were born in another country but went to school here, I guess that's a rough definition.
Yeah.
Then you can join the Dreamers, like our guest Pamela Resendis. Your parents are from here, right?
No, both my parents are also from Mexico.
But I thought they lived here.
Oh yeah, they've lived here for almost 20 years. Yeah, and we're still in the process of. We've submitted, like our application in order to attempt to get residency. But we're still waiting. So I feel like, just to backtrack a little bit on what you said, I feel like, this is a new movement. And as a young worker, I also wanted to vocalize that we're starting a new young workers group here from the CLC, from the Dallas AFL-CIO, to give a voice also to young workers who may be in unions or not, so that they can sort of talk about the issues that affect them in the workplace and things that they want to focus on.
And the CLC is the Central Labor Council. People get the two mixed up. They're exactly the same thing. The Dallas AFL-CIO and the Dallas Central Labor Council are both the same thing.
Right.
And they're both working with you on all of these mobilization stuff.
And with all of y'all.
So it's a very exciting time in the labor movement, and it's a time when everybody can get involved, which was not true. It was not true 20 years ago. It just wasn't true at all. It's been true since then, but there hasn't been that much movement. There hasn't been that much happening on it. And Mark York got elected the head of the Dallas Central Labor Council last year, and he immediately went to the national convention. They liked what they saw in him, and then National has been coming down here and helping with things like hiring the new mobilization coordinator. Call us at 972-647-1893, and we'll be right back. We're back on the Workers Beat. Bonnie Mathias and Gene Lantz, 972-647-1893, so you can get in on it. Pamela Resendis is our mobilization coordinator for the Dallas AFL-CIO. I mean, she's really your mobilization coordinator, because she's going to be mobilizing for community efforts and things that matter to every one of us. And you were talking, Pam, about the young workers group.
Yes, that's something that came out of the resolutions from the national. And what we're trying to create is an inclusive worker space for young workers who may be affiliated with a union or not, who want to find a space where they can become active in their community, start mobilizing, learn about the rights that they have, specifically in Texas, considering that we're a right-to-work state.
Right.
Well, what you're saying, young workers? Does that mean they have to have a job? Because a lot of people are unemployed.
Not exactly. Not necessarily. Just for folks that want to learn and mobilize in terms who are young workers.
So they don't have to have a job. The only people that would be excluded, I guess, is wealthy playboys. Is that right?
They can come, but yes, if they are not workers.
Unless they're giving money. I mean, come on, let's give the guys a break.
So we're not excluding anybody.
No, not really.
Not really. So
Bring
the
it
young
on.
people, come on. We got someone waiting to come on. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hello.
Good morning. You're on the air.
All right. I think I had a question to ask about 401k. Did y'all know anything about that?
About 401ks.
Yeah.
Not really. But
No.
what's your comment?
Well, my company, I was in it for 5 years. And then all of a sudden they want to kick it up to 6 years. Then 3 months before my 6th year, they let me go.
Uh-huh. So you never did get your 401k kicked in, huh?
Not the full investment.
Yeah. Well, the data is in on 401ks now. It's been proven that they are not a good pension plan, and they don't work. So that's about all I know about it.
And I found that out the hard way.
Uh-huh. Do you want to name your employer?
Kennedy.
Uh-huh. And you want to say anything bad about them? It's all right. This is the workers'
I ain't got that. The only thing I got the same thing to say bad about them is that I didn't get my 401k.
Yeah. Well, I agree. You should have got it, brother, because you were there nearly 6 years. Looks to me like you'd have gotten it, but they're the ones that got all the cards in this game, you know. And they do pretty much what they want to, and they're cheating people out of their pensions and their salaries and benefits all the time.
Yeah, even though you signed a contract for 5 years. They still can do that too.
Well, you should probably call a financial planner and talk to a financial planner.
No, it's a labor question. It's a labor question, and the only way you could get to them. You didn't have a union, I assume.
No, it wasn't a union.
No union. Well, the only way you could get to them is if they had some kind of a published employee handbook.
Yep, I got that.
These are your rights. And if it says that your rights included that 401k, then you might have a cause for legal action. It's going to be very hard to find a lawyer that'll do it, though, brother.
That
employee handbook is the only thing you have, and it's not very much.
You know, you may want to look under employment law. The Yellow Pages and give it a shot. There's an ex Texas representative that's practicing labor law.
Which one is that?
Alan Vaught.
Alan Vaught practices labor law? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's spelled V-A-U-G-H-T. And
G-A-U-G-H-T.
Yes, sir. He's practicing labor law here in Dallas, so you may look him up.
William Babb is my lawyer. He's protecting me against Walmart.
And doing a fine job of it, I might add.
Well,
they haven't come in here and hauled you off yet.
They haven't dragged me on their property. They're trying to keep me off of their property.
Man.
B-A-A-B is his name. But really, it's going to be very hard, brother, to force the company to live up to, even if they have it in their published employee guidelines. It's going to be very, very hard to force them to do anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's tough.
I wish we didn't live in Texas, because the truth is, in Texas, workers have almost no rights.
Yep, unless you have a labor contract, you are you're up a creek without a paddle.
You want to make any more comments, brother, before we cut you off? It's already cut off.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to call us and get your 2 bits in, 972-647-1893. And if anybody's got any suggestions as what this brother could do about not getting his 401k kicked in before he got fired, 972-647-1893. I'd sure like to solve some problems and help some people.
I know
with some of these things, but the truth is, in Texas, you ain't got a union. You ain't got much of anything on the job as far as your rights on the job.
And folks that are out there considering joining a union or maybe getting the union into your workplace, you do have the right to organize. Okay, you do have that right. Don't we're not going to call the union, talk to them, call the AFL-CIO. They can put you in touch. I've got a couple of groups out there that I'm working on organizing, and you guys don't be scared. It's going to be okay. I mean,
you may not know what union organizes in your area, but you can call the AFL-CIO and find that out.
Exactly.
And the number in Dallas is 214-826-4808.
Yep.
We'll start giving that out every time.
Yeah, we should.
Because everybody should try to find some way to get organized.
Yep.
I would caution you, though, do not try to organize a union by yourself.
No, do not, because then you have no protection if you're going out there by yourself. You really need some guidance and someone to help you get through the hurdles and hopefully keep folks from being terminated from their jobs, because they will try to manufacture evidence to terminate you for another reason.
They will fire you in a flash. That's why you need.
Soften it.
You need a professional organizer. So call AFL-CIO. Find your professional organizer. It's 214-826-4808. Brother Victor is on the phone. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning.
Glad to hear from you.
Hey, I want to first say
you guys are not being uplifting at all, okay? 401ks work very well, okay? And then you say 401ks don't work. They work very well. They're still in use all over the place. I have one. My brother has one. I mean, if used correct, those tools are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, so the 401k is really working out for you.
Of course,
Glad to hear it.
One thing about because I called earlier, I said I guess 5 to 6 years, okay? A 401k is not a 5 or 6 year tool. It's something you use when you retire. It's an investment in your retirement. And that money is there, and he can go ahead and draw it out and transfer it out to another, either roll over to an IRA or another 401k. It's there. It's not lost. It's just that you cannot collect on it now and get any, I guess, you can get some cash value, but it won't be much.
Uh-huh. I see. Well, glad to hear it worked out.
Like I said, uplift, like I said, as far as if you work hard here in this country, opportunities are there. All you got to do is go out there and get it. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And as far as Texas being a bad state, I guess, for labor and workers, no way. As far as Texas, it's like most states. You work hard and you will go ahead and get your reward.
Texas is a good place for workers. Texas is a good place for workers.
Of course it is.
I'm sorry. I have to.
Bonnie couldn't take it.
I can't take it. I'm sorry. Texas is a horrible place for workers. We are number one in deaths on the job. We have the highest percentage of low-wage workers in the country. We have the highest percentage of uninsured in the country. And 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry every day in Texas. Now, how in the hell can you say it's a good place to be a worker?
It's not the state's fault.
Oh, Lord.
It is the state's fault. You get out there and bust your butt and you can go make a living. I don't know anybody in my family that starts having a good thing here in this state. And all of us are immigrants, okay? We're here busting our ass. And we're, I don't see we're rich, but we're living I did very well.
Okay. How about your brothers?
Wait a minute. Now, maybe he means compared to some other country.
Okay.
Maybe he means Texas is a good place to work.
No. I'm talking overall. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that it's better than the other states? That's the key, I think. You're saying Texas is better than other states for workers.
I tell you, okay. I was military for a while, so I did live in other states. And you know what? Over here in Texas, okay, just like most states, you work your butt off and you will go ahead and get what you deserve, It's like if you work hard, you will live. It's like, I think everybody these days wants to work a little and as far as make a lot. No, if you want a lot, work a lot.
Well, let me tell you what's going on with a particular construction company.
I was about to talk about that.
The Gables Construction Company are stealing your brothers and sisters' wages on a regular basis. These people are going to work all day, every day, 60 hours a week, and then not getting paid by their employer.
You mean they're not getting overtime pay?
Not getting overtime pay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're not even getting what they're owed from just their regular pay.
If they were not getting paid, they wouldn't be going back to work, okay? You can
really?
a few things here and there.
Oh,
yes,
really? Okay, I'm sorry. You are dead wrong.
You're not sorry. Don't say you're sorry if you're not sorry.
Okay, I'm not.
Opinion. Okay, then don't say it. I mean, it's like, it's like I said, as long as you work, all in this country, okay, opportunities are there. You work, you will get your just reward.
So that's all you have to do. Appreciate your point of view,
brother. Have a good day.
Thanks for calling.
And just to follow up on what Bonnie said, the Gables workers have reported a widespread cost of abuse at construction sites, and they have over $130,000 in wage theft and unsafe working conditions. Mm-hmm. So
that's just what they've been able to prove so far.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. There are circumstances where workers in Texas and everywhere in the nation are going to work, and they are what's happening when their people are not getting paid either their overtime or their regular wage, and at times these wages are not even at the federal standards, let alone what the city or what their county standards are. So wage theft is a thing that's happening across the nation for workers, and sadly there seems to be no system in place for accountability towards the workers. Towards the employers, and so the workers are going to have to search other avenues where they're going to have to empower themselves and make sure that they do get paid.
And what can people locally do about that, Pam?
I feel like they can get involved. They can get involved in either these young worker groups where we're talking about learning about their rights. They can also reach out to a lot of community organizations that are trying to make sure that folks get their wages paid.
Workers' Defense Project.
Yes.
Yay!
What if they just want to? What if somebody just wants to really just physically do something about it? Like, you're going to have any marches and pickets and anything like that?
So there's going to be an action on the 14th, I believe. And it's going to be done by our brothers and sisters at the Workers' Defense Project, and they're going to be making sure that the workers have a space and a voice where they can share their testimonies as to what happened at the workplace, how they're still not getting paid, how the conditions are horrible.
I think they're delivering petitions on Friday to the Gables, and then on Saturday at Riverfront Park at starting at 11 a.m. We'll be listening to folks talk about what happened to them. We'll be listening to people letting us know what can be done to help folks in these situations. You know, it's really, really important. This is so prevalent especially in the state of Texas, because we have really no strong laws on the books to protect workers here.
Let's take a call. Scott's been waiting. Thanks for calling. KNON. Glad to hear from you. What's up?
Good morning.
Good morning. We hear you.
Great. Hey, Gene and Bonnie and your guest, we've heard a couple of options about retirement kind of planning being talked about. One is the 401k, and Gene, you mentioned a pension that someone can get as part of a union. What's the difference, do you think, for unionized workers as far as retirement planning?
Well, a 401k is what they call a defined contribution plan. In other words, you put so much into it every month or every week, and the other is called a defined benefit plan. I'd a lot rather have a defined benefit, but the fact is that only 1 out of 5 workers in America now has a defined benefit pension plan, and a few of the others got stuck with 401ks instead of the defined benefit, and the data is in on that it does not work as a pension plan. In other words, either people didn't put the money into it or they were forced to draw the money out early, and when they got ready to retire, the 401k just wasn't there for them. And that's why I said it was a failure as a pension plan.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, Joshua?
Well, I'd much rather have a sure thing that's been worked out as part of a negotiated agreement, that's for sure. Yeah, I found it interesting, too. The last caller was kept saying that Texas is better compared to other places, but I think the problem with his argument was he didn't make that comparison, right, which I think was a point either you or Bonnie made. Right?
Have you got
compared with other states, right? Have
you got some comparisons?
Well, I do, yeah, from living in, I guess part of it's been living in other countries, too, and where workers are provided with health care, for example, as just that's a part of the public services provided to workers.
I think the health care is worse. I think the health care is worse in the United States than in any industrialized country, unless I'm mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been my experience.
And
so
it's
I
worse
think
in Texas because there's more uninsured workers in Texas than there are in any other state.
Yeah, and I think part of it comes down to what do you think a fair deal is, and the caller seemed to think that it's a fair deal to just have to work your fingers to the bone and suffer, and that's that's fair, and we don't think that's fair, I think.
The last time I looked, when you work your fingers to the bone, about the only thing you're going to get is bony fingers.
Bony fingers.
Bony fingers. That was a great song. Great song.
Well,
yes, I think that we just have a different definition, I think, of what's fair, and I think what's not fair for us is that some people live in luxury and have a really easy life, and others really have to struggle, and that's where we're different, I think.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Thanks,
y'all. Have a great morning.
Thanks, you too, dear.
Appreciate your point of view. Thanks so much. And do we want to take another call, or do we want to move to break first?
Okay.
If you don't mind waiting, caller, they're going to do the break, and then you'll have more time to talk. We'll be right back. Good morning. Thanks for coming back to the Workers Beat program with Bonnie Mathias. I'm Gene Lantz, and our guest is Pamela Sandis. We have callers waiting. Put somebody on. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hello?
Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Yes, this is Marjorie. Do you hear me?
Yeah,
we
we
great.
got you. Go.
The whole world is listening.
Yeah,
Right.
2 callers ago, that was a troll. That is a KTR flat who paid to do nothing to post that diatribe on the internet, and now I just call in the talk shows to spout the party line. If what he was saying is true, then every woman in Africa would be a billionaire. And we all know that that is not the case, that hard work does not create wealth. What creates wealth is criminality, and I just had to get that in. I know there's folks waiting in line, so that'll be it for today.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you for your point,
Thank you so
Marjorie.
much.
And the next caller, good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
I got a question here.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Wait, we
Wait a
can't.
minute. Your cell phone is not going good.
Yeah, we can.
Can you get
Can you hear me
closer or
better?
something?
There you go.
That's
there
more
you
Can
like
you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the overtime laws in Texas, I recently found out that we don't have any laws in Texas stating that employers have to pay us overtime. I did not know that until the
That's
company that I'm working for now tried to screw me over. I kept on getting checks that were saying like 52 hours of regular time and 6 hours of overtime. And where I come from, anything over 40 hours is supposed to be overtime.
Yeah, wait a minute now. Texas doesn't have a law on overtime, but the federal law still applies. If you worked more than 40 hours in a work week, then you should have gotten overtime.
That's right.
Right. Well, I mean, I brought it up to my employer's attention more than one. It happened more than once. At first, he tried to blame it off as a typo, and then another time he tried to blame it off as a new office worker and stuff. But then, what I came to realize is that the company that I work for, I work in a line of construction. I mean, I do sprinkler pipes and whatnot. Anyway, they have a whole lot of patinos and whatnot that are not exactly all the legal status, and I found that out that they were probably all getting screwed like that, and I brought it up to their attention, and after that, they pretty much been punishing me, trying to keep me under 40 hours, where I don't have overtime anyway. So I was wondering, you said, I thought I heard somebody in there, y'all talking about y'all are having some kind of rally or some kind of thing about workers' rights.
Yes, next Saturday.
Next Saturday?
Next
Where's that going to
Saturday.
be located, and how do I get information on that?
It's going to be at Rivershawn Park.
Rivershawn.
Rivershawn
Where's
Park
that?
is on Maple Avenue,
Okay.
in between Oaklawn and
Oh, it's right by the toll road.
yeah, it's a nice park. If you look up Rivershawn
Maple.
Park, you'll find it. It's on
Yeah,
Maple.
it's on Maple.
Okay.
It's it's at 11 o'clock on Saturday with the Workers'
Okay.
Defense Project.
And that's on
And you
construction
say-
workers.
Yes.
And you say even though the state law says that we don't have the federal law overrules it. So
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, that's cool. All right, guys. Thank you. I had to get that off my chest because I know that really ran me hot.
All
Well,
right.
I hope you'll come out next Saturday and bring some of the folks that you work with, so that they can find out that they're being cheated and they need they can get their money.
Yeah, and you can go on
right.
Facebook for their Facebook page, Workers Defense Project, and find out more information about the awesome work that they do, as well as more details on the event coming up this upcoming Saturday.
Workers' Defense Project.
Yes, sir.
You got it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
They're kind of the experts on wage theft,
Yeah,
too.
they are.
So if anybody else is having a problem with the boss not paying the overtime pay that they're supposed to be getting, Workers' Defense Project are good people to contact.
Yeah.
Almost anybody can do it, but Workers' Defense Project has done it better than anybody else, and actually collected more than $1 million in back pay
Back
for
pay,
people
right.
statewide, and quite a bit here in the Dallas area since they've been here.
Yeah.
972-647-1893 if you'd like to get your 2 bits in. It's great to have a Workers Beat program where we talk about workers' issues and workers can call in with their issues and with their opinions, even if their opinions are a little bit crazy. We're happy to have them, and KNON loves it when you call.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling a little bit crazy, that's all right. This is the program for you. Pam, you were telling us about the young workers. Will they be turning out, you think, next Saturday for that event?
Definitely. We put a post on it. We actually created a Facebook group not too long ago. So if you're a worker and you want to join, feel free to reach out to me and we can allow you to join. The main person for this project is going to be Gloria Gadillo. She's the Young Workers Coordinator, and she recently attended a training as well as I in Detroit, where we met young workers from across the nation, and we saw as to how we were all trying to mobilize and strategize in our different unions and in our different states to make sure that workers have a voice. So we have a meeting coming up on the 26th of June. We're still determining the location that's going to be the best for our workers to meet, so we'll definitely keep y'all updated in regards to more details about that.
How young do you have to be? I mean, could you go if you were 30, 35?
I believe that what we've decided as a young worker is going to be from, of course, whenever you're able to go work up until 30.
Up to 30? Because the vice president of my union, I think, is a young worker. I think he's going to be coming around. And
definitely. We also welcome workers who may not identify as young, because it's really going to take a lot of knowledge just about the process in order to make sure that this is a successful group. And we would love to see mentorship programs arise out of this, just in terms of like a young worker wanting to be able to have that relationship with someone that's been in their trade for a little bit longer.
Young workers are screwed more than anybody in the workforce.
Yep.
Because their pay is lower. You can look at, for example, they say the unemployment rate is 6.3, but not for young workers. It's still like 15 or 20% for people under 25. The unemployment rate and the way young workers are treated, the wage theft situation, the robbing and cheating and stealing that goes on from the employers hits the young workers the hardest. So if they want to have a decent working life, a decent way to make a living and live in the kind of world that one caller a while ago does live in, that he says that all you have to do is go to work and you'll be amply rewarded. If you want to live in that kind of world, if you want to make that kind of world, come and join the Young Workers Group with the AFL-CIO. And you don't have to be a union member. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's we're trying to make sure that young workers who have been seeking a space are able to be part of that space. And sometimes folks don't have either, whether in their industry or within whatever they're working on, don't have the privilege to be part of a union. So we're definitely making it very open and making sure that as well as workers that are in unions are able to see the different working conditions or different aspects of life that non-union young workers have. Just as an old guy, let me ask you, is there going to be any place in this for teaching people a little bit about labor history? Because I hear us old people complaining all the time that young folks nowadays don't have any idea about labor history. They don't know. They don't know who sacrificed and who did what in the old days. They don't realize that they just didn't wake up and all this stuff was here. And that's a point that got brought up at the Young Workers Retreat that we recently had in Detroit that we came out of. And we definitely want to make sure that young workers are able to acknowledge that because of the work that these people that have laid out, we're able to have 40-hour weekdays, weekends, overpay. So we definitely want to acknowledge that there's been a road paved before us, and that we want to make sure that this space is inclusive. And that's what we're saying, that even if you are not identified as a young worker, that we are more than glad to have you, because we definitely want to make sure that young workers that it's sort of like a two-way street where young workers are able to teach older workers something new, and vice versa. Yeah, we have to have some new energy in the labor movement. There's no question about it. Even the convention I just came from, there was an awful lot of gray hair there and an awful lot of bald heads and not very many young people because of seniority. Because we've been in a layoff mode in the United States for the last 30 years, and that means
last one hired is the first one fired, first one laid off. So the membership of the unions is aged tremendously, and somebody got to do something about that. Here's a little labor history note. I'm just curious to know if Pam thinks that young workers would be interested in this. This happened on June the 7th of 1913. There was a big strike of mill workers in the silk industry in Paterson, New Jersey, and they rented the main hall in New York City, and 1,000 workers went over there and put on a pageant. They had parades and demonstrations and speeches and songs that were done in New York City on this day in 1913, and that was part of their struggle to win that strike. Wow. Another amazing thing they did was during that winter, they sent their children away. The strikers actually put their children on the train and sent them to New York City to stay with other people because the bosses were starving them. And they did. In other words, they used some very unique and amazing and innovative tactics on this day in 1913. So it was 101 years ago on June the 7th. So that's the kind of thing that it seems to me that is interesting. But I wonder, do you think, Pam, that young people would be interested in that?
I feel like they definitely need to be interested, not only just to honor the previous struggles that our brothers and sisters have gone through, but also, like you mentioned, to learn the new tactics and strategies. We do not need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to what is effective and what's not effective, or what works and what doesn't work for workers. We definitely need to be able to have this history and utilize it and honor it. So I personally find this really interesting, and I know that you just gave me a good idea that every time we start a meeting, we shared a bit of our worker history, or something that went on that day.
That's great. Yeah, that's
there's a service. The AFL-CIO has a service online where they give you these labor history dates. I get them every week, but usually we don't get to them on the Workers Beat program because people call 972-647-1893, give their opinions. But you get a long list of things that happened on this date. Here's something that happened on tomorrow's date, on June the 8th of 1917. A mine caved in Butte, Montana. 168 workers died. When they found them, their fingernails were gone, and their fingers were torn down from trying to remove the rocks and before they suffocated. And then miners, of course, went on strike over it, and the company came back and told them, "You have to do this because there's a war, and we need the copper for the war." And Frank Little, who's my personal hero, went to Butte, and he said, "To hell with the miners and to hell with the war." And they hanged him. So,
well, there you go.
So,
and they hanged him.
I'm not sure if the strike was won or not. I don't know how that all came out, but it's noteworthy what kind of tactics the bosses used, and it's worth learning about. Okay, thanks for calling KNON. Thanks for being with us today. Good morning. What you got to say?
Good morning. I was just wanted to say that I probably would agree with the caller that you had 4 or 5 calls ago in some respects.
That if you work real hard, you'll do okay.
I feel like that, this is American, whether you're in Texas or in Georgia. If you work hard, you're dependable, that you will be rewarded. And I think that unions cost jobs.
Mm-hmm. Unions cause us to lose our jobs, huh?
Okay. Unions reduce the number of jobs that are in the marketplace, and I do believe that.
Well, I can tell you that the jobs that have been lost at AT&T over the past 10 years were shipped overseas, okay? Those were union jobs that were shipped overseas. So, I'm sorry, unions do not cause job loss. Business causes job loss.
Yeah, people come to the union and say, "Why did I get laid off?" And we say, "Well, we didn't know. We didn't even know you got laid off. The company's laying you off." But go ahead, brother.
Well, you ask someone if they would rather make $20 an hour or $10 an hour, and have plenty of work. And most people would say, hey, I would rather have a steady job and make a decent wage than have to make the very top wage that particular occupation may have for me. And back to the caller that you guys so strongly disagreed with, free marketplace is where people do the best, where they are rewarded for their performance.
If and everyone, it certainly rewards the bosses as well.
Certainly does.
But go ahead.
Well, and that's another point. Employers provide jobs. Employees have to be treated, and should be treated correctly and decently.
Yeah,
but
should be.
If you lose your care for the employer, where the job's going to be?
I think there's certainly something in what you say. If you go to work every day and do a good job, you're going to be better off than somebody who's slack and doesn't come in or comes in drunk or something like that. No question about that. The argument that we were having with the earlier caller was when he said that Texas was as good a place to work as any state in the union, which we disagreed with that because of the statistics. But what do you think?
Okay. Well, I'm sure that Texas is not the best state to work in the union, and I'm sure there are plenty of states that in certain ways are better. But from what I see, and I have been in Texas a short time, coming from other states, coming from Georgia, for instance, and sometime in Tennessee, and from what I'm seeing, Texas measures up just as well as those two states do for wages and opportunity to work. From my experience.
In fact, there's one state that actually comes out worse than Texas on some standards, not on health care and certainly not on low-wage jobs, but Mississippi every now and then comes in lower than Texas on measures of social welfare. So you could make the case that you'd rather work in Texas than Mississippi.
There you go. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate your calling. Pamela, we're running short on time. We want you to get the rest of the word in as much as you can about how people can join your mobilization effort and your young workers group.
Definitely. So they can reach out to me. My email address is presendis.dallasaflcio@gmail.com. If you're interested in either learning more about the young workers or these other community events that we have going on, and find out more information, I would really, really love to hear from everyone and make sure, like you mentioned, Gene, it's going to take all of us in order to make a change and make sure that the state that we live in is the one that we want to be a part of.
Right on. We'll make it what we want it to be.
Exactly.
And your number over there is 214-826-4808. Our callers don't necessarily have computers, but they have telephones. 214-826-4808. Bonnie, got any final words?
Please come out next Saturday, and we'll be talking about that next Saturday here on the air. And come out to Rivershore Park at 11 o'clock and support these folks that have been done wrong and hear what you can do to help yourself or maybe somebody else.
Yeah, and these are the workers that built Texas.
You can promote that again next Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Even though I won't be here.
That's right. You're going to be gone next week.
So stick with us. The Workers Beat is sticking with you. Bye.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.